in my view, the future of geopolitics 10 or 40 years from now is going to be more US-led or more Chinese Communist Party-led. And I would rather have open navigation of the seaways, freedom of religion, human rights, commerce, trade, transparent contracts. And so I would rather have there be more US-led freedoms for the world, but not because the US is an eternal entity. The US is just the best experiment in government we've ever known, but governments are going to pass away. Ultimately, at the end of days, when we all wrestle through and with the questions around our own mortality, there will be no more tears, there will be no more cancer, there will also be no more government. Government is a tool. It's a really important tool, but it's a time-limited tool.
We mentioned at the beginning, Ben, that despite a very successful political career, you quit the Senate in roughly the middle of your second term. And I wonder, what was it about the Senate that made you think you were not making progress there?
So the Senate is a great institution. It has been greater in the past and it needs to be greater in the future, but it is still a very important institution. We sometimes call it the world's greatest deliberative body. There's not enough deliberation happening there right now, but I hope that it happens again. I wasn't looking to leave the Senate. I was just mindful of the fact that we were very, very unproductive. And when I first ran for office in 2014, my girls were 12 and 10 and son was 2. And I knew I was going to be flying away from home a lot of every week to be serving in Washington, but the family was still living in Nebraska. And I was missing way too many family dinners. I was still pulling on oars to do that work. I wasn't looking to leave. But when I was called to become the president of the University of Florida, it seemed like the math was pretty easy that we could accomplish more at an institution like that, where there was an ability to string together strikes and spares and add up to something at a time when the Senate wasn't very productive. So I want to be clear, I didn't leave the Senate because the Senate is bad. I was pulled to something that was bigger and better for a time. And frankly, I want a lot more experiments about age 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. The AI revolution we're going through is going to require us to build tougher, grittier humans. The University of Florida is one of the special institutions doing that. We need a lot more institutions building things like that.
And with that, we'll move to our last question from Lindsay Wynn. Lindsay?
Thank you for being here.
Hi,
Your positivity is an inspiration.
Kind of you.
Senator Sasse, you've been a senator, a university president, a policymaker, an author, and most recently, a podcaster. But if you remove all these titles, accolades, and the many, many impressive achievements during your lifetime, how do you want your children to remember you?